Page 3, 37 practice. Homage to our Lord Ishvara. I pay constant homage to all my three doors, to my supreme teacher and protector Chenrezig, who were seeing all phenomena like coming and going, make single-minded effort for the good of living beings. Perfect Buddha's source of well-being and happiness arises from completing the excellent teaching, and this depends on knowing the practice. So will I explain the practice of Bodhisattvas. Having gained the rare share of freedom and fortune, here think and meditate unwearingly night and day in order to free yourself and others from the ocean of cyclic existence. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Attached to your loved ones, you are stirred up like water. Hate your enemies, you burn like fire. In the darkness of confusion, you forget what to adopt and discard. Give up your homeland. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. By avoiding bad objects, disturbing emotions, gradually disease. Without distractions, virtues activity naturally increase. With clarity of mind, conviction and the teachings arise. Cultivate seclusion. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Loved ones who have long kept company will part. Wealth created with difficulty will be left behind. Consciousness, the guest, will leaving the guest house of the body, let go of this life. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. When you keep their company, your three positions increase. Your activity of hearing, thinking, and meditating decline, and then may you lose your love and compassion. Give up bad friends. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. When you rely on them, your force come to an end, and your good qualities grow like the waxing moon. Cherish spiritual teacher even more than your own body. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Bound himself in the jail of cyclic existence. What worldly God can give you protection? Therefore, when you seek refuge, take refuge in the three jewels which will not bury you. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. But the Sadhana said, all unbearable suffering or bad rebirth is the fruit of wrongdoing. Therefore, even at the cost of your life, never do wrong. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Like the dew on a drip of blood of grass, pleasure of the three worlds last only a while and then vanish. Aspire to the never change supreme state of liberation. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. When your mothers who have loved your son's tongue without beginning are suffering, what use is your own happiness? Therefore, to free limitless living beings, develop the authentic intention. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. All suffering comes from the wish for your own happiness. Perfect Buddhas born from the thought to help others. Therefore, exchange your own happiness for the suffering of others. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Even if someone out of strong desire stirs all your worth or has it struggling, dedicate to him your body, possessions and your virtues, past, present and future. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Even if someone tries to cut off your head, when you haven't done the select things wrong out of compassion, take all his misdeeds upon yourself. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Even if someone broadcasts all kinds of unpleasant remarks about your through the 3,000 words, in return with a loving mind, speak of his good quality. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. Though someone may desire and speak bad words about your public gathering, looking on him as a spiritual teacher, bow to him with respect. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. Even if a person for whom you have cared like your own child regards you as own enemy, cherish him specially like a mother does her child who is stricken with sickness. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. If an equal or inferior person dispraises you out of pride, place him as you would your spiritual teacher. with respect on the crown of your head. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Though you like what you need and are constantly distressed, difficulty by dangerous sickness and spirits, without discouragement, take on him the misdeeds and the pain of all living beings. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Though you become famous and many bow to you, and you gain riches equal to Vajrayana, see that worldly fortune is without essence, and be unconceited. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. While the enemy of your own anger is not subdued, though you conquer external fear, they will only increase. Therefore, with the malita of love and compassion, subdue your own mind. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Sensual pleasures are like salt water. The more you indulge, the more thirsty increase. Abandon at once those things. Such dread, clinging, attachment. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Whatever efforts is your own mind. Your mind from the start was free from fabricated extremes. Understanding this, do not take to mind inherent sign of subject and object. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. When you encounter attractive objects, though they seem beautiful like a rainbow in summer, don't regard them as rare and give up attachment. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. All forms of suffering are like a child's death in a dream. Holding illusory appearances to be true make you weary. Therefore, when you meet with disagreeable circumstances, see them as illusory. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. When those who want enlightenment must give even their body, there is no need to mention external things. Therefore, without hope for return or any fruition, generosity, this is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Without ethics, you can't accomplish your own well-being. So wanting to accomplish others is liable. Therefore, without worldly aspirations, safeguard your ethical discipline. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. To Bodhisattvas who want wealth or virtue, those who harm are like a precious treasure. Therefore, towards or cultivate patience without hostility. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Seeing even hearers and solitary realizers who accomplish only their own good, strive to put out a fire on their head for the sake of all beings, make authentic effort. The source of all good qualities, this is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Understanding disturbing emotions are destroyed by special insight with calm abiding. Cultivate concentration which surpasses the four family absorption. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Since the five perfections without enlightenment, along with skillful means cultivate the wisdom which does not conceive the three spheres as rare. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. If you don't examine your own error, you may look like a practitioner but not act as one. Therefore, always examine your own errors. Rid yourself of them. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. If through the influence of disturbing emotions, you are pawned or the force of another Bodhisattvas, you yourself are diminished. So don't mention the force of those who tired the great waker. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Reward and respect cause us to care and make hearing, thinking, and meditation decline. For this reason, give up attachment to the households of friends, relations, and benefactors. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Harsh words disturb the mind of others and cause deterioration is a Bodhisattva conduct. Therefore, give up harsh words which are unpleasant to others. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Habitual disturbing emotions are hard to stop. Through construction, armed with the antidote, the guards of mindfulness and mental awareness destroy disturbing emotions like at once as soon as they arise. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. In belief, whatever you are doing, ask yourself, what is the state of my mind? With constant mindfulness and mental awareness, accomplish others' good. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. To remove the suffering of a limitless being, understanding the practice of the three spheres, dedicate the virtue from making such effort to enlightenment. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. For all who want to train on the Bodhisattva's path, I have written the 37 practice of Bodhisattvas. Following what has been said about the excellent ones on the meaning, on the sutras, tantras, and the traces, though not particularly pleasing to scholars owing to my poor intelligence and the lack of learning, I have relied on these sutras and the words of the excellent, so I think this Bodhisattva practice are without error. However, as the great deeds of Bodhisattvas are hard to fathom for one of my poor intelligence, I beg the excellent to forgive faults such as contradiction and non-sequiturs. Through the virtue from this may all living beings gain the automatic and conventional artistic intention, and thereby become like the protector Chenrezig, who dwells in the neither extreme, nor in the world, nor in peace. This was page 8. Page 8. O Mother Sentient Beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstacles who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and damnation, may they experience happiness, be separate from suffering, and safely I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. O Mother Sentient Beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstacles who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and damnation, may they experience happiness, be separate from suffering, and safely I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Tibetan. Dalai Dhamma Beda No Parasebege Tarapada Nam Jen Jen Be Parada Chupa Seba Nam Je Je So Sebe Mai Nam Ga Dai Nyam Be Zem Je Nam Je Dewa Dan De Dong Aradan Jare Nyorda Lana Meba Yanda Barazo Be Sanjo Rinpoche To Barasa. Thus until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with the body, speech, and the mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with the body, speech, and the mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with the body, speech, and the mind. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and the lineage Lama. We take refuge in the deity of the mandalas of the Yadam. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dhakas, darkness, and the Dhamma garden, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Page 10. We do only English. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the example of Bodhisattva. As the previous Buddhas embodied the enlightened mind and the progress on the Bodhisattva's path, are too for the benefit of all sentient beings giving birth to Bodhichitta, and apply myself to complete stage of the path. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of Janarasta and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never be separate from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion. Go to the page 16. In the ground is sprinkling with the scented water and strewed with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the spring mountain, the four continents, and the sun and the moon. As Buddha fare, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of Buddha fare. To the Lama who possesses the three kayas, I offer the altar, inner and the secret offering. With my body, wealth, and all that is visible, please grant the supreme realization of enlightenment. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, praying, for the sake of the enlightening of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. Om Guru Rina Mandal Punza Manga Samanda Savarana Samaye Ahom. Page 17. His wisdom is brilliant like the sun, free of the clouds of the two wheels, and precious the various steps of knowledge in the true nature. For this reason, he holds the wisdom text at his heart. He has compassion for all beings who suffer from the darkness of ignorance in the presence of samsara, as a father for only son. Like those who are sleeping in ignorance and losing the chant of karma through the 60 branches of Haramane's speech, he wields the wisdom sword to cut the saddling of suffering and to dispel the darkness of confession. In the Bodhisattva form, he is pure from beginningless time, fully complete in the 10 levels, and perfect in the body of all knowledge. I supplicate you, Manjurshiri, bound by the 112 sons of Buddhas, to dispel the darkness of my ignorance. Simji namji sambadang loye sedra jedawa chejong de mong de baye chejong golo gordo
gobo tuje chede ma tamje chema de ma sunayong de japde je de jola sa talo da wa de ja trabe je ke ve sa ja就到到就把就老早的老早的这个老样东我啥把的啦这个性格上嘛用的跟着那样子的咯都是讲的在那那把话没了就这个嘛旁边这把家完了把感觉老板了的我们去研究过这他这个就我这样了他就刚我所懂的zawe lame jabla so wa de ostom to ga ta chu je chin ya so me mo jo ha yi la so sem je do da da chi na tam ba chu ji nem da ta do de o da te chu do na ba la de do ta ko ko ya mo tu ta ka sho go yo le de to a se to ta so de la yang 탑 시간을 망보를 망자서 탑시게 다 찍을지 다 가리지 라메다들 사실 탑을 상고요래 이렇게 차고지 탑시 바에 동가를 하고 성화들이 탑 가리냐 들어가지나데 나도 하고 특별히 때 탑시 바에 가르치고 땅 사람을 탑시 바에 가르치게 사람한테 땅 저하지로 탑시 바데 내체기오는 내체기오래 탑은 내 바데 하고서 타나 라시와 초 잡고 가리 끝나들 때잘 다른 카드 왕보 체파를 마도 마시지 파래 대서 하고라 다양 요들 협력 시간 매와 마다 나도 올 때도 배그래지
So, my Dharma friends, today I will give an introduction to the Sadhana practice. And so here we have the Sadhana of Achi. And then now in general, in terms of Sadhana practice, there is a lot of different kind of sadhanas. And often we think that there is just too many sadhanas actually. Each deity has their own sadhana, and there are so many different kinds. So therefore it would be good if in the beginning we would have a general understanding of sadhana. What is a sadhana practice? Because if you understand that, then no matter which sadhana you practice, you will be able to understand the actual inner meaning of the sadhana. So we need to think about what really is what really is a deity practice, a sadhana practice. What really is the intent behind a sadhana practice. And if you understand that, then aside from that, all the different deity practices, whether they're peaceful or wrathful and so on, essentially are the same. There are different levels of sadhana depending also on one's capacity, but essentially they are the same. And so that essential same meaning is something that we can understand, even if you are someone like myself who doesn't have a lot of learning, a lot of great qualities.
Rich Bakcha Tapase Bala Jeren, Naga Bakcha Tapase Bala Dipa Nga, Single Bakcha Tapase Bala Tanita, Trisa Chok Sanki, Dela Tapate Sungure, the Bakchashi by the Karishi, the Bakchashi by the Kari and Doctina, that said the Bakcha, said the Savati Polatin, said the young day or that's all relative. Refuge, Tati said some of that is Selam, Pacharo, Mamu, left the Togo, the Toluma, Ecolata, see them, Legaji, said the Goja, some of them, Pachas was there. There is a little new Mama Bojedo. That's what it's a cemetery. Oh, that is the Pachate. Deletina Mama, Korak Jasa Ankadot. Dying in the Telam water cemetery, the Lepaka, water to Man Korak Cabija, Reshad.
And so during the empowerment, we always say in the beginning, what is the benefit of the empowerment? And so during the empowerment, we are purifying our habitual imprints, the karmic imprints in the mind. And to purify the imprints of the body, we practice the generation stage. We visualize the deity. To purify the imprints of speech, we recite the mantra. And then to purify the imprints of the mind, we cultivate bodhichitta. So what is that imprint here, this habitual imprint we are talking about? There are those habitual imprints of being concerned about this life. So our entire life we are distracted by only thinking about and striving after our mundane concerns in this life. And that we mainly do because we have a body and we cherish this body before anything else. So we are attached to the self, which is we think is our body. And so striving in that way in this life, we accumulate a lot of habitual imprints in our mind. And we have to become aware of them first. Constantly, throughout day and night, we engage in these activities. We are thinking about this life, and we are forming more and more habitual imprints. And then because of that, a lot of afflictive emotions arise in our mind. So it is important to look at your own mind and recognize these habitual imprints in the mind. Basically, there is this constant concept of I that constantly arises, and that is the cause of samsara. It is because of this I that we grasp at a duality of self and other, and then we hold self and others to be truly existing, and we also give the self and other various attributes. And that becomes the cause of wandering in the 6 realms of samsara.
벨랑도 생기 박차다 그래도 또로도 쪼그라 딱히 제지 자고 요래 다 되지 양 되는 게 되었더니 아들이 탐람을 상하가 탑성바에 다다 소탈 양미지만 탐지고 전반 얘기야 이제 당시 보는 몇성 고요래 전반 얘기야 이제 대양들이 가리 세부들의 박차마자 박차 다부 찹해야 돼. 대 상하는 데 같이 모여 사용하래. 소주 세부 토가대 대외의 대기가 송들지는 동가리리 다 전반 얘기야 이제 그래도 세부들의 박차마자 탈래. 대 박차 님바데 파다고나 다호사바 처리요라. 이제 사바데 다 돼. 마다바 다과라죠. 다과 똥바라죠. 대전에는 용탈들이 기반 얘기야 이제는 애들이 성질만 해봐야고 추제만 해봐야고 와서 홀대가 추탐제들이 남의 동바 라서봐 이는 밥 남도 대회들이 거서 상하게 동 되는 데들이 대래 탑을 보내들이 녀모고 박차 타고 와서 봐 대라 탑대 선고 요사래 뒤종의 실들이 더 가리냐면 이제나 오가 박차다고 탑에 샤상아 그 박차가 누바서 동네 가리서 오도 첸들도 막 가리서 오도 마음부지가 상한도 막 가리서 오때 지와 가서 신나 링문에도 탑도 이게 넣었다가 들고 그래 그때 양 다소수 랑소로 그래 랑그냥 놓으러 그래 근데 옛날면한테는 그 못사요 그래 그랬더니 답이 됐다 좋아지는데 아주 빼고지 그래 때 가장 피보요 그래 때문에 내가서 자기 옆으로 막 좋아지지 그래 나가 상태로 그래
And so when we purify these habitual imprints in our mind, it is just like you're washing your clothes. So you're adding some soap, some detergent that cleanses the clothes, your clothing. And similarly, this soap that we are applying to wash our mind is the various methods that are taught. For example, in the Vajrayana, the secret mantra vehicle. But also in the vehicle of individual liberation, the pratimoksha, there is also a practice, for example, called the 4 kinds of close placement of mindfulness. And also you can receive more instructions on that by the Kempo and so on. But in any case, now those 4 close placements of mindfulness actually are also a method to purify the habitual imprints in the mind. And therefore we can also, from an experiential perspective now, it seems that therefore it has a strong connection to the Vajrayana methods too. So in that way we can actually bring all of those methods together by looking at our mind and see what actually happens when we apply it to our mind. So when we practice those 4 kinds of mindfulness, then we also find that it is a way to purify those imprints from within our mind stream. And so what happens here is that in order to, first of all, purify the negative imprints, we are first placing a new imprint, a positive, a pure imprint into our mind. So first we are purifying the impure imprint into pure imprint, and then that pure imprint also becomes emptiness in the end. And so that is also related, so this is according to the Vajrayana practice, and that is also related in the end to the, according to the Pratimoksha path, the 4 close placements of mindfulness. And for example, there is the mindfulness of, in the end, there's the mindfulness of all dharmas. And being mindful of all dharmas means that you realize that all dharmas or all phenomena of samsara and nirvana are selfless and they're empty of self-nature. And so therefore, this method actually is related to the essential meaning of the Vajrayana, the purpose of the Vajrayana practice too. There are methods to purify the habitual imprints, the negative emotions from our mind stream. And so if you understand that, this inner meaning of the practice, then whatever practice you engage in, you will know that this is to purify my habitual imprints from the mind. And to see that, you need to reflect on that and see now what kind of suffering you're experiencing in your life, and following these imprints, how much harm is being created in this and also in future lives. And then when you understand that, the importance of purifying these imprints, you will really see the sadhana or these methods of practice like a wish-fulfilling jewel. So this is just my viewpoint from an experiential perspective. Also, you have Kempo here, you can ask some questions. Actually, it's a very good habit that you're always asking questions. It's very beneficial. And also you have the conditions for that. So you can, you always have someone to ask him. But so anyways, this is how I view that point.
Nansi lakor koarchi sangha jerem pasam cho somore chakde tini nuju yiga yeri tapa yin bala te tatang so madab na cha cha chayu gore bakchashi badi madab na tantric tini ne patang ko ko jore 상보를 되게 민말이 되게 니디용이 이유를 되게 니발 과장 거요래 대외 다호 상하 이제 영향을 리거나 서 이제에 답아 되게요래 대 위발 그런 거 세고 이치되게 상하 이념이 되는 거 초대 이념이 가르치는 상하 동 돼서 거 샷하고요래 대 가르쳐 보려래.
And so regarding the practice of Tantra, of secret mantra, actually the essence of the Tantric vows are explained in our Refuge card. It says that when you develop a pure perception towards the universe and all beings, that is the essence of the Tantric vows. So I myself have actually added that to the Refuge card, because in general there is really much to the Tantric vows. But now if you think I want to take the vows of the secret mantra of the Vajrayana, then what you need as a necessity in the beginning is a pure perception. In Drikung Kagyu had said, when you understand that everything that appears and exists is the form of the Deity, that is the perfect generation stage of secret mantra. So it is to understand that everything that appears and exists, that is the universe and all beings, are by nature pure. And what appears as impure, all of these impure appearances, that is those impure imprints that manifest. And then whatever, when there is such a negative imprint in the mind and things appear in this negative, impure way, then there will always be a dualistic grasping. Then there's always one that is good and another one that is bad. And it is because of this dualistic grasping that we are wandering in samsara. So that is the one essential meaning that needs to be understood when it comes to the Vajrayana practice. That everything is pure on the basis, by nature. That is one thing that we surely must first develop a trust, a real understanding of. Because if you understand that, then whatever other Vajrayana practices you then practice from there on, you will really understand the essential meaning of any practice. So that is why this is the most important point.
단 잡으려는 사강다고 장매바 똥들 똥도 똥이바 똥서보지 태양 장매바 타매바 배만 보여래 탐지라 저는 적대는 나비 생기 달로가를 돌아도 장매바 요래 동당을 눈이 떼나 라니 소비면은 손바다 동당고 대바 강해 동당고 대바 상하래 동당고 대바 상하에나 저들 나마 탐지랑 그 셈, 나와 셈도 타지, 셈이 동바 타지 손이 동당고 때마 오 나지 니 같은 맞아봐. 내가 내가 동아 좀 왔다 하고는 이 대회 때 니디 좋아돼, 니디 총총 들 들이 잘했더니 뭐가 세마시. 내가 최나처럼 저거 차, 들이 정성을 나서봐 돌이 내가 데려서 뭐. 들은 로아를 쭉 참아더니 생크바가 파진도 없어 하고는 대회더니 락을 쳐봐 다서나 들이지 이답지 라니가 답과 통통고 요래 대회때 당을 데려더니 다 이전에 답과는 오시고 같이 뭐요래 이전에 답과 시고나 다 그것도 장외 봐 다나 다지 달리가와 사지에 쌈좀 잡아서 나파 타다냐 벌써 오늘 나파 타요 말이지 동강을 찾들 락 셉집부터 하고 그러잖아 락 죽고도 하고 그러잖아 그 답이들 타면 돼 봐야지 저 락을 위쪽으로 뺐던 것들이 르드 산후적이 빼나는데 샘지 나주 샘지 빼지는 들이 싸고 당을 들이 다마다 그냥 같이 해도 소소도 싫고 하고는 들이 다 상하다가 들이 이제 저거래 제 초라들이 자기 좀 되는데 그 강성 발휘되나 심지 나는 상기에 오자 로버트 베트레스 심지 답지 이제들 상기에서 죽고 남았다 심지 답지 나중에 말도 말해야지 대답을 심지 세다 상기에서 이제 저 로버트 마티스 나중에 이제는 다 저도 처럼 로고 차요래 뒤 식부 탑라들이 다 사기 이제 또 나중에 다도 진짜 과학적으로 됐다. 그때는 말라니 소리만 나서와 대다들이 다 과학적으로 내가 토리 대탐지 저 이제 다니 나오는 이니 대응을 된 랑글 위에다 해주요 상황 뒤에서 다 하거나 들상하냐 전에 들지는 건 고통들이 랭거에 상하지는 탐지 대학을 지금 가래나 직장 하고 그래. 삽자냐면 세나야. 저쪽 통을 돌아 양을 이 맞다발 주자고 배세나기 다들 받으려고 뭐보다 치면서 봤다 거를 대학원들이 팽교했지.
And so then regarding the ultimate view of the Vajrayana, now first all of the Buddha's teachings are summarized in the Twofold Truth, consist of the Twofold Truth. And now on the relative level, when we look at the universe and all sentient beings, on the relative level, there are limitless world systems. For example, like this world, there is many limitless other worlds just like this. So we speak about the first order and second order and third order billionfold universe, and then there's even more than that. So there is endless universes. And within this endless universe, there is limitless sentient beings wandering in the 6 realms of samsara. And then on the ultimate level, the ultimate truth, the ultimate level is what is explained in the Vajrayana, and that is explained in the 37 Bodhisattva practices, where it says, appearances are one's own mind. So first we need to resolve that appearances are one's own mind, and then that mind itself is emptiness. That self and other and any duality lacks any true existence. And what appears to us is only like a temporary illusion. It is just because we hold on, we believe in this dualistic existence, that our mind is confused. And with this confused mind, we see things in a concrete way, possessing substantial existence, and we give those things attributes, characteristics, and we hold on to them. And this is what makes the mind be like an ice block. And as a result, we wander endlessly in the 3 lower realms, sometimes temporarily in the 3 higher realms. So all of that confusion is created by the mind, and therefore we wander in the 6 realms of samsara. And so then, when we purify the obscurations of our own mind, then just naturally we will be able to see others as pure as well. We recognize that by nature everything is actually pure. And so in order to understand that, first, when we look at the limitless universe and the limitless sentient beings, the Buddha even had said that there are incalculable beings, an inconceivable universe that is extensive as the sky, it means it is endless. And so even though that is the case, on the ultimate level, if you only look at your own mind or your own body, you can understand the nature of the entire universe and all beings. It is because your own body and mind is not separate from the universe and all sentient beings. So therefore your own body is an example of the outer universe, and your mind is an example of all sentient beings. And so in that way, with a wisdom, a discriminating wisdom, you're able to discern, first of all, pure from impure, and purify what is impure. And so with that, you have found that like a basis for the Vajrayana practice. And so the Buddha had said, all beings are actually Buddhas. Beings are only obscured by temporary stains. But by nature, they are actually Buddhas. And that nature is the Dharmakaya, that is space-like. So in reality, sentient beings, self and others, do not really exist. And Buddhas and sentient beings are actually one. And this temporary obscuration is the grasping at self-other duality. And that is what makes the mind be like an ice block. And so to melt this ice block, the Buddha then had taught that mainly we need to recognize self-grasping. It is this concept of a self that has created samsara. It is explained also in the 37 practices how samsara is created, and then how temporarily we create the higher realms and so on. But the basis of samsaric existence is this concept of a self. And from that self, there comes a dualistic grasping to self and other. And so this is how we can understand that the entire universe is complete within ourselves, within our own body and mind. And so if you understand that, you really have understood the essential point of the Vajrayana practice. Then no matter what generation, stage of whatever deity you're practicing, you understand its essential meaning and the result being the same. And so then even though you might practice 100 different deities, the result is a single one, it is the same. In this way, by practicing the generation, stage, the deity each and every day, it is just like you're cleansing your habitual imprints with soap. Like you're taking a shower every day, just like that, you're cleansing these fixations to a concrete reality and all the characteristics that you label it. So that is important to understand in the beginning.
Nasi lakur kawaji sama jiran pasam so de nasi tatana sebar kare nuju jigare sunu jikti juang ada saya bahako ore juang ada saya tata kota tapu mola ore teni sembil nyumong ayores tete minuli sigana jodores sigana josong tete Monga te jawar ngares te ludene juang ngayores juang ade menso te yongane jodores te tsolde te ko to nambo yavena yaven nyo to meva te yaven itia tatok te yaven nyo satong sem satong te por te dana sahabe te sem savraji yap tongana te yan te satong so dokter te 보조베베 대화치 보상한 갈리 모든 동사 님에봐 이두고 주탐지 갈리 쩌더더더더더 설마들이 이제라 적마통에 받대 사통에도 각하에서는 각하말이 대다버더더니 다소 대다버 거는들이 대대나 그래서 용왕아지 운행 것을 마다버까로 다 사도와도 통고요 말이 용왕하는 운행이었더니 사독되나 달아들었 나과 또다리 이런 말이 가면 사강대냐 대해서 똥말이 두세에 통화요래 대사요래 그 용왕아대 대해서 라지 똥바 통지요 봐라 좀 맞다 하고는 그 띵고서 다지 이디 초보가 무서 배도 동야요와 때때라는 그 수남 그 doblatin sunam chechongore tri sunam chibate tri sanchok sampana ko sanchok sampana jalatini tri matahlara desi tri takushin kamtam je sanchok sampana bi choba nika dadin ko tri matang tro tri ma te desi yung dadi tan jeso ti dadi te maje par doge gram jinna ma thongu yore yera tri desi yung jot tri thola ro ya me te ko na 들이다다 대도 이가 이제 딱 봐야 돼. 로걸 맞아봐 가면 돼. 또 이거 나디다 되는데 이 성수는 통해야 이렇게. 이 성수는 문제지. 또다 그치 그 로걸 맞아봐야 혼절도 그래. 라는 레디 레는 박차지 다 좋잖아. 이거 말해 배나. 레상 같은 용부 세상 다음서 별 매직 세상랑나. 세상랑도 되니까 스포나지 차들 도피지 말아들이 야, 세상 파트너서는 내가 배도 sab지가 사마대야 요래. 대르대르다다 사단대 이시야고 요래. 사단이 각하요 말이지. 그치 저도 요래. 내가 진지 저거 동백서. 내가 저보다 더 배도 삼대가 라리지. 삼대 라리지. 대야 요래. 오, 다 뉴모 세상에서 차도된 제리지. 그치 전도가서 맞다바데 동반이 되는 대세적으로 저람에 하고 이제를 알았지. 그 못하지 그게 사적으로 저송나. 들들이 뭐 실이 저러고 그래. 내가 왜네 동처럼 차서 산이 쉬어도 배대달이 상. 그 맞다바데 이제를 딱 봐라. 딱 봐서 가래 동반이 저 되게 대결을 또 탑탐지 동대 대하고 전화 때도 탑탐지 동다 그 가리 접나 되는 바체 총마도 들적다 그러니까 레버톱 다니고 저거 해야지.
So this quote by Jigten Somgen is one that you should really keep in mind. You can also take note of it and memorize that quote. So again, it is now to realize that everything that appears and exists is the form of the deity. That is the perfection of the generation stage of the secret mantra. So what is everything that appears and exists? It is the entire universe and all sentient beings. The universe consists of the 5 elements, and first we need to understand that those 5 elements also have the nature of the deity. For example, in the Samantabhadra prayer, it says that within the mind we have the 5 afflictive emotions, and when the 5 afflictive emotions ripen, they become the 5 wisdoms. So when the afflictions have ripened, then they turn into the 5 dhyani Buddhas. The body consists of 5 elements, and when they ripen, they become the 5 female Buddhas. So together, the universe is the union of Samantabhadra, Yap, and Yum on the ultimate level, and that is all there is. So ultimately, that is one's own mind. It is this Yap and the Yum, or the male and the female in one's own mind, is the clear and empty mind. The clarity aspect, the natural clarity of the mind, is the Yap, or the male, and the emptiness is the Yum, or the female. And that clear, empty nature is unchanging, great bliss by nature. And that is the ultimate result or meaning to be understood in the Vajrayana practice. And that is ultimately they are non-dual, clarity and emptiness. And everything exists in this non-dual way. So all phenomena are interconnected, and therefore one gathers into the other and so forth. And ultimately everything gathers in the mind. And that mind is clear and empty. But it is not 2 things, but clarity and emptiness is an inseparable unity. And that is the ultimate fruition. So the 5 elements that appear to us in an impure way. So what we see is just earth and rocks, for example. But also earth and rocks, for example, by nature are empty. For example, if you have some earth or some dirt and you blow on it, then it just disperses into the sky and it is gone into emptiness. And that is the ultimate nature of our world as well. It is impermanent because it is a compound, and therefore it is empty of self-nature. And even though it is empty, we can see it, and it gives us stability. We can live on it, but its nature is still empty. So what we see is something like an illusion. We can see it like an illusion. It is there, we can use it, but it ultimately is empty of self-nature. And then the extent to which we can use it also depends on the level of merit that we have accumulated. And so what we call merit is actually bodhicitta. And it is that cause of merit that causes us to temporarily experience the happiness of the gods and the higher realms and also the Pure Lands and so on. And it is the cause of self-grasping that temporarily makes us experience the suffering of the lower realms, animals and so on. But then there is still Buddha nature, and that always remains. But until self-grasping comes to an end, we will always experience suffering. And we will, everything will be seen as miserable in a negative way. But still, at the same time, Buddha nature always remains unspoiled as it is, because by nature, the universe and all beings are actually pure. So what makes the mind be impure temporarily is our afflictive emotions and self-grasping. And for as long as they are present in our mind, the negative perceptions of the lower realms will manifest to us. But whatever manifests is only manifests momentarily. It is also impermanent, and again it will change. Then when negative karmic imprints are being purified, then all of these karmic appearances, these visions, also will dissolve naturally. So it is all a reflection of your own mind. For example, if a person all of a sudden gets very angry, in that moment, that person almost becomes like a monster. And then even if you're friends with that person, the moment you get angry, the person turns into like a demon. But then when the anger goes away again, then love arises, and then two friends will be happy. So that is really the difference between, we call it always gods and demons. But in reality, there is no separate gods and demons. It changes moment by moment due to various conditions. Temporary conditions lead to the manifestation of evil spirits and hindrances and so on. And then the next moment, like friends are happy, then they are like gods. Then one moment they get angry and jealous, the same person becomes a demon. So it changes moment by moment within one person's mind. So it is impermanent and therefore ultimately empty. And meanwhile, on the ultimate level, Buddha nature always remains as it is, unchanging. And that is why we say on the basis, one actually is the deity, all is the deity by nature. And that is when the afflictive emotions meet with bodhicitta. When bodhicitta arises, then the afflictive emotions become primordial wisdom. It is, for example, like you have an ice block that freezes at night, and then the next morning, again, it is melting. So first, what is impure, the impure perceptions are being purified, and then slowly these pure perceptions then are transformed into emptiness. And so that is the essential meaning of all the different sadhanas, no matter what sadhana you practice. Whatever sadhana you practice, it is like the effect of whatever sadhana you practice really depends on understanding that as one essential meaning. And if you do understand it, then the sadhana practice will really lead you very close to the result.
Gypsy Tomata Jores, Yadamta Dombatri, Dodin Namjurma, Dodin Pamotaki, Three Chidonta Dombatrita out of Chidoma, Generally Lama Yadam, Cardo Chidonso, Cardo that Chidonta Chipai, Trinity, Saji Demason was telling Musa, the Mayor Pep, Tritrita. The Basawachi Kerang, Bena Yella, Trinitata, Dena, Bena, Saji Zepata, Saji Chile to me, Genu Batajera, Saji Chile Tata Dokuyore, Genu Batajera, Saji Gusa, Saji Cook Gedu, Song Taku, Toxaji, the Gedu Batabi, Toxaji, and Saji Chile to Naptake. Telipena Lama Gavishini Tantric, Delacor, Gedi Gavishini Tantric, the Nichu Sawachi, we are busy the one of the Tabete Bat and the after Tantani Lama Yadanchi don't have the Tabete Bat. Kangri did go song took you in Chile, Sanji Shiga Ramjete, Deta Hako, or Yang Semti Saji, Sempurit, Negati Chidonta to Priores, one day Jictin Barry, the Ishibari, Kakamache, Tonki Saji and Tanet, Deta Corner, the young nature or
So then we come to the actual practice of Achi, the Achi Sadhana, which begins on page 19. That is a very brief Achi practice. And now in general, when we practice Achi as the Lama, then she is Tara. And if we practice Achi as Yidam, she is Vajrayogini or Vajravarahi. And as a Dharma protector, now she appears in this form as Achi. And so actually they're all the same, they're all inseparable. Whether it's the Lama or the Yidam, the Dakini, the protectors, they are the same. And especially the Dakinis and the Dharma protectors are the same. And so the Dharma protectors appear in this human world in order to protect the Buddha's teachings. And therefore actually they are also represented by the Sangha, who engage in the enlightened activities of the Buddha right now. For example, any Sangha, we say, therefore, is a real manifestation of the Buddha. Their body is the Sangha, their speech the Dharma, and their mind is the Buddha. They are engaging in the enlightened activities of the Buddha together. So all of these spiritual teachers engage in Dharma activities and therefore are not separate. And therefore also Achi and the Lama and the Dharma protectors, they all actually are not separate. And all are manifestations of the Buddha's qualities of enlightened body, speech, mind, qualities and activities that have the nature of the 5 wisdoms. So this is how we should understand it. And then also that these Buddhas actually are inseparable from one's own inner mental continuum. And then temporarily, those Buddhas appear as Dharma protectors in this world. And so sometimes people make a distinction between worldly beings or worldly gods and wisdom gods, but actually in a way they're also inseparable. And so also a wisdom god, for example, temporarily appears in a worldly manner to engage in the enlightened activities of the Buddha. So this is how we need to understand the essence of the practice first.
Tata Shiba na getri, Lutheran to one are 7 Yumong Iore. The Mina, Yuanga the Yonga, Yumonga the Yapana, the Rangayabim, Taki Java Rangayabim, Raji Chadi, or Minsona, Mamina, the Captain, Water Doctor, Child, or the Eta, the Dona Dharma, that you are getting Mata Patera. The Toman the manager Jagadini, Trutiman, you are Japas, or the just a mother part. They were about the single narrow, ya, only the one Jajima Tamjake, sent Saturn Pata. They did a Tabaman, Tabaman, Tongan, Tonjanti, Hajakarcha, Mother Patera. They got Jamata, Tomata, Longman. Tombating some sort of heart of money. That's all you shut the convoy. You sugar also. They call some district of Perry. Tombani just some district of water. Savarandi, Tomban Pata, Savarandi, the you share your sort. They went to Barcelona.
And the sadhana begins with the mantra Om Svabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharmas Svabhava Shuddho Hang. And with that we purify into emptiness. And that is, we recognize that the entire universe and all beings lack inherent existence on the basis by nature. So they are empty of self-nature. And also, as you mentioned before, all the inner sentient beings, their body consists of the 5 elements, and in the mind there are the 5 afflictive emotions. And when they ripen, when the 5 elements ripen, they ripen into the 5 female Buddhas, and when the 5 afflictive emotions ripen, they ripen into the 5 male Buddhas. So together then they become the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, Yap and Yum, if they all ripen. And for as long as they're unripe, temporarily we wander in the 6 realms of samsara. So in brief, what this mantra here means is that ultimately pure and impure all lacks any inherent existence. And so we also understand that as you mentioned before, in terms of this close mindfulness, those 4 kinds of mindfulness, and the first one is that of dharmas or phenomena. So when we realize this mindfulness of phenomena, then we realize that all phenomena of samsara and nirvana lack inherent existence. And so those of you who know how to meditate and look at the nature of your mind, when you look at your mind, you see the mind is clear and empty like space. So here we need to let the mind rest within the view. And then from within that, from out of emptiness, arises then the visualization. So first everything becomes emptiness. That is, we recognize everything lacks inherent existence. And then from within that emptiness then arises the clarity. So the empty nature is like space, and then there arises the white syllable Shri, the life force syllable of the Deity, which is also a representation of Buddha nature. The Shri represents Buddha nature. So from the empty space of the mind, the natural clarity arises in the form of the Shri.
lam sun water do na de shal de ta do yin sam de cha ba te ha ko le te ta de samba che mi ba de ju le ji na de samba che mi ba se bi no samba de ni ji wa te sa je ta de chu ben cho yo go le de u ba de me ba chu sa je sa chu sama na ta de chu de ta ta samba che mi ba la 얘네들이 사실 아빠한테 대화진 시작함지 심지 탐지를 지지 좀 사촉성을 게 시작한다고 들어본 거래. 그때 사진 주변 초양들이 심지어 사바다는 있지요. 지는데 제가 때 초바야 마시래. 별로 심지 탐지 사만신지 친구 심지 저 삼는게 지는 다 사진 탐지 데려 가요래. 가래서 가요래. 사진 탐지를 빼지 야래. 사지에 탐지 셉지는 hinge요자 빼나 말라듬 버철 쇼바다를 사지 hinge요레스 셉지 탐지 라왕이 등에 접어드나 말라 빠메 가지고 보고 저런 거 사서 들이 되게 가리고 빼대나지 또 셉지는 저 때다 피바들로 될 사지에 탐지 하려 가요래 빼 사지 좀 되네 야 맞지가 세리 용마가 퍼나 사지가 뭐가 따로 말이야 허리 내그래서 습지적으로 승지 총총도 때 기억하게 그래서 비대로 야거래 됐더니 주변 초도 사바다 인지해 봐 하고 사바체가 really 지나더니 사지 강요래 가이그 초랑을 팽기요래 사바체담제 대서 주다지 쇼요래 이는 대서 팽기요래 습지 탐지 나진이 직발 때로 사바가 용띠인데 이 양도 양도지는 이런 탐지으로 사바체베 받을 수 있죠. 사바체베 받을 때 라진 것들이 작성하 쇼고를 때 사촉 선반남 주 철들이 사지 사촉 선반답이 선득 과창을 들으살았을 소지 사바의 이 체베 반전을 당에 가르치고 선비에서 이제 뜻이 딱 다음을 당에 아주 관건도 없어.
So then it says, from this Shri syllable, from the Shri, infinite light streams forth and makes offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So now first when this infinite light here, what that represents. Actually, going back to when we take refuge and cultivate the motivation of Bodhichitta, in the very beginning we need to cultivate immeasurable love for beings. And when love arises, then in an instant, you become aware of all the incredible suffering of all the sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara. When love arises, love and compassion arises, that is the supreme offering to the Buddhas. So it says this light makes offerings to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. And so how this offering is made is that, for example, the Pure Lands, like Amitabha's Pure Land of Dewachen, is a natural manifestation of this immeasurable love of Bodhicitta. It is naturally created by Bodhicitta. And so, therefore, this is what Buddhas want. They want to benefit beings. Therefore, if you benefit beings, if you cultivate a wish to benefit them and love and compassion, that becomes the greatest offering to the Buddhas. So when you read that, you need to recognize that this love is the actual offering to the Buddhas. And when great love and compassion arise, then the Buddhas will be pleased. And the reason is, for example, the love that Buddhas have for all sentient beings is like the love that a mother has for her only child. And then when Buddhas see the suffering of sentient beings, that helplessly they are suffering, the feeling is like a child has fallen into the water, but the mother has no hands and is unable to help the child. So that kind of unbearable suffering of compassion, is unbearable compassion arises. There's nothing, a feeling that I really want to help them, but how? And so then when you do anything that benefits beings, that is why the Buddhas are pleased. For example, it is also said, the Buddha also said that if you make an offering to the Buddhas, and if you, for example, would make an offering of gold, a piece of gold to the Buddhas, the Buddhas wouldn't even look at it. They would just keep looking their way. But when you do something good for sentient beings, then it will make the Buddhas smile. So that is the supreme offering. It is to cultivate this immeasurable love and compassion. And every time immeasurable love arises, you are actually pleasing the Buddhas. And that is also because every time it arises, your own suffering is cleared away, your own self-grasping dissolves. And also you are bringing benefit to others when love arises. Because ultimately the self-grasping of sentient beings and one's own is the same. So remember the quality of love here, and that is the offering to the Buddhas. And every time you give rise to immeasurable love, then the blessings of the deity have actually entered your mind. So the actual offering to the Buddhas is the offering of Bodhicitta. And so that offering is made, and then sentient beings' obscurations are being purified, and then the light returns and dissolves back into the stream. So then the light returns and great love and compassion dissolve into you. And so then you consider, now what do I need to do? I need to benefit sentient beings. And in order to benefit sentient beings, I'm going to practice or meditate and visualize myself as Achi. So then there is a front and self-visualization of the deity. And now in general, when we practice this Achi practice as her as the protector, then we would visualize Achi in front and ourselves as Vajrayogini. But if you practice Achi as the Yedam, you can also visualize yourself as Achi. So you can practice whichever way suits you the best.
to Tatar song. Then there are Labda Ji Charu, the last of the Gubachimo Yore, Gangrejina. Then Padre, the Yams of Believer Carmetry, Yamtre, Cocheti, Tabu, the Tapatari, Yore, the Tail Carri, Doctor, religion, the sum of Tantric. The Tanti Lobadi Che, after Cochete, and Cotolobadi Che Mangoyore, dinner also Michilia Mangoyore, the Chatamar Robon Trigally, the Carredo, the Tabi, Tintiton, Chiatan Belong, the Nova, the Chiboyore, the Court, met some the young some water. Haram, the Shalim, Samsara, not for the major. Tikanity, some Shalim quality, Pala, the Yatata, the Semagola, the Septic. Three said the remote cleaner, which is to call me somewhat long body, related to somewhat long. The party said the Yid on our body. Down Chapakately, or the water charity, September Chagore. But me, Sagana, made the shop number go very petty. Jeremy sent me at all. Chapakatan draw, 3 days, young to semi shy, the digitally, there's a top banker, that's all right, young, then young to killer, then Yima, lambs about the as the card and Kadu lambs is shower child. Dear guitar, just as a chip of my pachata, she was the Jerem Chupolatile, could you chalukare, they met to the semi shower. They shower, take it, then Satura, the sunny pardoni, then it passes on the mamma chat. Then it just say on lamb, something, did you got in Joksali Bella? You could shout the same thing in Jokro, Rang semi shady, Rang septet or tap the yore, Ben water come out of whatever. Oh, Semakari, Charlotte, Charlotte. The Tarantinico, Labrador, Narantini, Zokin, Jokro yore. Jerem Teta Mina, Park Chagarang, Potan, Chomatelas of a semi shadow, that data will be at disability are in Lore. Jerem when the bar, Chief is the liar, Cosem Shavatella. Tricard in the lamp, the Shataba. They have it.
And so then, for the visualization of Achim, it is explained now the color and the robes and the ornaments and so forth. And now you can visualize according to the description, and also you have the image, the picture that really shows the visualization of the deity. And so there is different manifestations of Achim, and this particular one, there's one, for example, when she appears more as the in the protector form, where she is on a horse, and then there's this one here actually, is when she's standing in the upright position. She's standing, and doesn't have this like various like ornamentations like in the other visualization. So in any ways, when we visualize according to this sadhana as she's standing upright, now the way you train now in the visualization, that is the various aspects of the generation stage, the clear visualization, the recollection of purity, and the divine pride. Then at a time when you're actually not practicing, when you're outside of your session, you should look at the picture and the generation stage, the whole visualization, and go through it one by one, so it stays in your mind. You bring all of its meaning to mind, and think about each of the elements of the deity, and that you can then apply to the practice when you're actually in meditation session. So then when you visualize the deity, it is almost like you're drawing an image with your mind. So you familiarize yourself with each aspect of the visualization. There is a lot of details to it, but for example, in the Achi visualization, the most important ones are, for example, the implements of the mirror, and then there's a jewel. And so visualize all of that, bring that to mind, and then you close your eyes and have that image appear in your mind. And then you repeat that again and again. You look at the image, you learn the visualization, you close your eyes, and in the beginning, vague image of the deity will begin to appear in your mind. And as your mind becomes clear and free of thoughts, the image becomes more and more clear. So focus on that single-pointedly. It's like drawing an image in your mind. You're starting, for example, from the upper part of the deity in the crown, and then you come to the face and all the way down to the seat and so forth. And then the image that you visualize, that you use as a support, also should be very beautiful, because in the beginning, our mind becomes attracted to something that is beautiful. So it begins with an attachment to something beautiful. The mind becomes drawn there. For example, it is like when you have to eat medicine, it is good that it is coated in some sweet so you can eat it. So just like that, first the mind is drawn to the beautiful image of the deity, and then when the mind goes there, the image will appear again and again and gradually become more stable. So this is how you can practice the visualization until Achi appears in your mind. And then later, when you really have habituated to it, the moment you recite her mantra, for example, Achi instantly will appear. And that what appears and really is Achi, the actual deity. And that is also what then purifies the habitual imprints from the mind. So this is how the generation stage purifies the habitual imprints. Then when you have habituated and the deity appears in your mind as you close your eyes, the instant appearing of the deity is what purifies all of the habitual imprints. When you practice this one deity your entire life in that way, then later after you have died and you come into the bardo, first you fall unconscious, and then upon awakening, the very moment you awake, you recall the deity, then instantly the mind will become that. It's like the mind will assume that form. The mind will enter that form of the deity. The mind itself has become like an empty house, and whatever appears in the mind in that moment, that is the form it will assume, it will become. So after we have died, it is just like we are like taking off in an airplane then, and we are becoming the form of that deity. On the other hand, if you do not have the practice of the generation stage, then after you have died and you awaken, the imprint that arises is the attachment to your children, husband and wife, for example. And as a result of that being drawn there, you might take birth as like a creature in their bodies, for example. So that is the power of practicing the generation stage, of just having the form of the deity appear in your mind. You have to train repeatedly so that eventually the form clearly remains in your mind.
做持续的小伙子都有那把手，等怕的呢，等没走些，看到咱们也有嘞，等就得十个男人有嘞，都是把男人有嘞，碰不到的，我个是过的打不下过，上的呢，打不是过的就别起来，碰不到是，因为我觉得这打不下的这电话来查。 동의를 땅 차당이 돼 윤체에 봐서 오거든 유머 것들 들이들이가 ጭ고 딱 말아 ጭ고 돼 보고 ጭ고 되고 대화를 해 봤지 어때 라이프에서 그래서 다 라이프에 되다 망세 삭발들이 라왕로 봐나 들이 밥사가 수능에 대해서 접바다 접바 la tiene letri ma c'è de ci io parlo la non sa ma se lo non è bene ma voi ore 대 탐지들이 레지브리드 마시나 오다 마랑왕랑 또 그만다고 잘했지 맞추고만 체 가고 저도 못 걸었어 마랑 또 그리고 이게 잘해서 바로 가용돼 뒤들 사이버들 들이 레지브리드 마시나 들이 양들이 세상다 차도 올라마고 쌓고요 들이 다다가 수행하고 있었던 현재가 마음에 들었더니 나도 동전에 마음으로 수행하고 있죠 맞았나 들이 다 의사 동로고 쳤다가 뒤지 라왕 매바들 뒤지 뒤지 쳤다가 뒤지 라왕 빠점 매바 그래서 다시 랑글에 마고 살아 다다다 다 남해는 송 냐가 적팀 것들이 적팀 가면 개발을 멀리 토론했더니 라왕 매바 세바 적팀 파면은 똑같아. 용화도 철 똑같아. 다 더블은 똑같았다. 내가 그렇지 알린 거요리. 내가 봤다 내가 차로 라왕 요말이 저는 쳤다가 뒤에서 된 곳은 세븐 어때에 봉부들 유머부들 라이브 유머부들 라이브 되는다고 라이브들 내가 찍고 시행을 거예요. 쳤다가 라왕 주 세번까지 레기지서 나와 라왕 빠졌 내가 왕거들 저트저들 대대들 다다 때라 원지가 대 누제들 난 세문하지 좀 만나봐도 와서지 대바 하고래 진짜 서로 누적 이제 샤분네에 등선 양철이 밖에 따와큰 유무 같은데 하고네 소소도 싫어하고 유무 같다 탑지 이양도 마셔 내려온 거 있어 말아마 이 시글롱 시라블롱 거 진요 말이지 야만이 같은 거 도고 야만이 때와 된다는 소리 또다 전부 뒤에서 모시고 내가 강이 화장품 볼 집에 제대로 말이지 화장 집에만 이야만 다 있어 말하고 상 사실 좀 내가 소화를 물을 못 채래 다시 사주도 띵이 럽시나 들이대 like the tapestry of the rains. 얘는 내성 도지양 르르 가리티놓고 대리도 사다버리다고 라비오에 누기서 약고 상로 땅 가와도 소소를 가와도 대두리 모시 대따와들이 파동 지왕도 마셔봐 기침을 했어.
And then another important part of the visualization is that as a seed, she suppresses the 4 maras that appear in the image as 4 bodies, 4 human bodies in 4 different colors, representing the 4 maras or the 4 demons. And now when we see that, we must remind ourselves that these 4 maras are found within our own mind. So there is the maram of the aggregates, that is the attachment to our body. We want to care for our bodies, we cherish our bodies. So we have an attachment to our body. And then there is the mara of the afflictive emotions, and that is because we want to take care of our bodies, we are attached to the experience of bliss, of happiness, and we have an aversion against pain and suffering. And as a result of that, we keep accumulating endless afflictive emotions in our mind. And then there is the third, the mara of the son of the gods, and that is that it is quite similar to the previous one. You always want to be happy. You cling to the experience of pleasure and happiness. And we are distracted by that our entire life. And so now for the most part, now in this life, we don't really recognize why we experience the well-being that we have in this life. We actually don't have any control over it. But it seems as though we have full autonomy over our happiness. Actually, it is the result of the merit accumulated in the past, having practiced generosity and patience. As a result, now in this life, we experience happiness. there's many people who do not experience a lot of illness in their bodies and not a lot of suffering in their mind. But then if you do not understand karma, then you might think that I have complete freedom. I have found all of that, I have worked hard for it, and I have obtained all of these pleasures through my own abilities. And you might even say, I don't need any Dharma. All of this religion is just deception. I don't need anything. Everything I can do it for myself. So you're distracted by these pleasures, and that is the Mara of the son of the gods. And so because you don't understand karma, you also get angry and jealous and accumulate a lot of karma with these afflictive emotions. And then eventually the happiness of this life will come to an end, just like a butter lamp is extinguished when the oil becomes exhausted. And that is if you do not create more causes of merit. Then finally in the end, after you have died, you will fall into the 3 lower realms. And so fourth is the Mara of the Lord of Death. At the time of death, then, you have no choice at all. You will be taken by the winds, the karmic winds. So that is if you, for example, have done a lot of things with a negative mind, with an angry mind, for example, then as a result, first of all, there is the result of full maturation. You will fall into hell realms. And then after that, there is the result similar to the cause, and that is as a result of some virtue still remaining in your mind, you might take birth again in the human world, but then without any control over where to take birth, you take birth in a place where there is constant fighting, for example. And then the activity similar to the cause is that again you will harm others, and the experience similar to the cause is again others will harm you in return. And then without any control over it, you experience more and more suffering. It perpetuates. And there is no happiness to be found, and you have no freedom over it whatsoever. So it is important to recognize those demons within your own mind. So the demon of the afflictive emotions and the son of the gods are actually quite similar. They are an attachment to the pleasures of this life. And then the demon of the Lord of Death is that when you die, you will follow your karma, and you will have no autonomy, no control over where you will go at all. So again, these 4 maras need to be seen within one's own mind, within your own afflictive emotions, the thoughts in your own mind. And so that is what is represented here by those 4 demons that are suppressed under Achi's feet. And so when you practice now, recognize with awareness those afflictive emotions. With discriminating awareness, recognize the afflictive emotions. Do not become controlled by them. Do not follow, or do not allow those karmic winds to take you, but sustain the winds of wisdom awareness. And so that really is the essence to be taken from this practice in general, actually. And so now, also what is meant with the suppressing of the aggregates of those bodies is that we should not cherish, for example, our own bodies so much. We always care so much about our own bodies. So there's a lot of self-indulgence. The Buddha actually said you should not fall into both extremes of self-indulgence and self-mortification. On the one hand, you have a precious human body, but also you need to use it to practice by cultivating bodhicitta. Otherwise, as also Sakya Pandita had said, this body becomes the very basis for both. If you do not understand karma, and if you do not use it well, it becomes the basis for falling into the 3 lower realms. So when we see this image of the four maras, we need to recognize them within our own mind. Each and every one of them, as they arise, recognize each demon, each mara within your own mind. And recognizing those demons in your own mind, do not become controlled by them. Then we have this image here of Achi, and so you, when you practice, you focus your attention to the image, and then you recognize its meaning. For example, there's a pression of the 4 maras, and then recognize those 4 maras in your own mind. And for example, that also is related to the mindfulness of feelings. But you should also, regarding the relation between the different kinds of mindfulness and this practice, you should ask Khenpo. But anyways, we take a break now for 30 minutes.
This is Nina's. You know what? If no one's sitting there, just give her a fresh cup and we'll just replace this one. So put that cup there.
For the break?
Fresh is good. And maybe just check the hot water to see if anyone went through it tremendously. And let's check Rinpoche's tea as well. I think he should have it, because would we have another hour? Like 11 to 12? Yeah, we're good. There's a lot. Still. So this is the thing. We should probably
Rinse
drink
it out.
this and rinse it out. Or
Yeah.
offer it to someone.
Yeah, right.
Do you want to split it with me?
Sure.
I want to taste it.
Yeah, sure.
I want to taste your puree.
Oh, okay. Hooray.
Hooray.
Well, we only have a few minutes here. Like 10 more. 10. Yeah, but they'll probably be back up in 5 minutes early. Oh, we're good with the water.
Yeah.
So I'll take the tray down now, just to get it all done.
I think I will have an extra downstairs too.
Okay.
Because there are not many lamas coming today.
Right.
So I think
They don't need to be washed. I would just dump out. Yeah, no. Just dump and just wipe. Well, because it's half. Just go ahead. I've gotten the instruction. Just go ahead and do what we just talked about. It's really simple. I'll be right there to help you in 2 seconds.
Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Re. Nidada sa yen mo karje melong na ba so de tong dam de ba so ba re ta ri sa de ji na tani de le tong dam de ba de ma ta ta chu sum tani tu sum tu mi so tong dam de ni de le tu yo ma le pe na ko dom trouble ba de chu sum ya ba ye 그래서 사제 탐시 집에 있으세요. 또 담배부터니 주인들이 나와 세도 타게 세도 동발 타게 근데 건대이와 이제 뒤따와대 정말 동담고 대만 정말 뭔가 메롱
So then on page 20 for the visualization, it says in her right hand holds a silver mirror with which she looks into the 3 times of past, present, and future. So that mirror actually is this implement is a sign of the ultimate truth. So it says here those 3 times of past, present, and future. And she sees the 3 times of past, present, and future. Actually, on the ultimate level, ultimately, there are no times. There is no time. Only on the relative level, from the perspective of a confused mind, there is the perception of time. But ultimately, there is actually no time. And that is now from the perspective of the Buddha's omniscient wisdom. So that is when one has realized that appearances are one's own mind and mind is empty, and samsara and nirvana have a single basis. So this ultimate truth is represented by the mirror.
대다 하고 메롱을 물렀더니 남반하도 샤링한테 이마저빠 낭지 똥 나와대 들이 나똥성juk 나똥성죽이 변나다다 되는 민강박강을 낭지 민강박강에시 그도 그래 예저도 들롱박강니 미간이 깨르까리 빼서 못할 빼만보만보 들이 메리레나 들이 가가서서 요리 때 그좀 철법왕들 나중에 이제는 저 동다고 그랬더니 미제나 리셈지라레지 리드들이 다 중앙을 공부 사공 따버리 샘플나 학 따버리 샘이제 하고 동다고 그랬더니 미타마 직장 맞아봐 들이빼나 뒤따라들이 예 홍은도 들이 깨름을 감이 따라서 곰 조롱을 감이 들은데 제도냐 성적지 들때 더 탑탑지가 제도냐 성적지가 더 깨름 곰 들이 조롱 곰 더 깨름 곰 들이 조롱 곰데 깨름때 예시 저다 나와서 차도게 내 탑지라 동달지네 그 샤지와네 야통 따버리 그냥 갖다 치니 제반매와 대합장지 그요 산이 셔가 걸리 말람때 대발이 다다 체대 대발이 대냐 말람때니 발이 로종비 도다 쳐보요 말람때니 발 체반매도 선 하고요래 대하고 저는 대제를 때니 대 초바다 대답 탐지든 스파레 저는 화도 되다버리 내와라 시셔보지 시차 지점에와 체대 말아하고 그래 동네라 당하게 동네 내가 말했지 나가로 선나가다고 되라 그야말로 상태니 저런 거 꺼내들이 동아리 마라바티 걸서 치시 종아서 실거는 세대 기직지가 될 동안이 통화 직장요 말에서 저런 때는 치시 종아 저런 때는 치시 종아 나와도 치시 종아 그리 서마도 치시 종아데 대계도니 동태에서 하고는 그 가지는 애들 라서는 애들인데 맞죠가 톡톡을 하다 가서
So it is the mirror is this sign of the ultimate truth, and that is ultimately, according to the ultimate view, samsara and nirvana lack inherent existence. Like in a mirror, for example, anything can be reflected, but whatever is reflected is not dual from the mirror. The reflection itself possesses no inherent existence. So things appear, and while they are appearing, they also are empty of self-nature. That is the unity of appearance and emptiness. For example, if you have a dualistic perception and you look at all the people here in the room, from on the relative level, there seems to be a lot of diversity. So you look at different people and you think about their different attributes, like this person is, it's that person or this person, or he's from here, he's from there, and so on. So we think about different discerning attributes of the person, but that is only a confused perception that is dualistic. Ultimately, in truth, what we call an individual, a person, is the body and their mind. But the body will become like ashes. It is just like a heap of different particles. And the mind, the basis of mind, is like the sky. And within that, there is no duality between different individuals. So all people in the room, for example, they become like one. And then also that one lacks any true existence, and it gathers into the syllable hong. So that is the generation stage that we first clearly visualize. And then in the end is the completion stage, where everything dissolves. All of the different sadhana practices, they practice this union of the generation and the completion stages. So first you visualize the deity, and then it dissolves in the completion stage. We practice the generation stage, the visualization, in order to purify the existence of birth, the various appearances of this life. Whatever appears becomes like insubstantial, like a rainbow. So we are, through the generation stage, also training our mind in recognizing that there is no difference between the waking state perceptions of the mind and the dream state perceptions. Later when we die, then there will be a dreamlike experience that becomes a reality. And now when we are alive, it seems that our waking state is the reality. So if we train in that and recognize that there is really no difference, it is all like dreamlike by nature, then first you recognize there is no difference between the day waking state and dream perceptions, and then you recognize that therefore all of these feelings of happiness and suffering are just the confusion of one's own mind. And knowing that, you will not cling so much to happiness, to pleasure. You will see everything in this life like a dream. And also you will not have such an aversion against suffering, because you know that it will not last. Everything is like the sky and nothing is really happening, nothing is really there. So that in the end then is the completion stage where everything dissolves into emptiness, where you know that nothing really possesses any true existence. So in the completion stage we are training the mind in the process of dying. So in the generation stage is the purifies, so we train the mind in the process of taking birth, and then in the completion stage, the process of death. And so that really is the whole purpose, the meaning of practicing the generation and the completion stages. And if you understand that, then whatever deity you practice, you will actually develop, the practice will become much more powerful actually. So therefore it is important to understand this point.
사용나 이윈전 모른 남베 소와탄나 구두 탐체 정화 저서 때 고도 사촉 생게베 드리다다 구조 지바들라 접들다 베 고도 사촉 생들 다이 니들들이 뉴모 드라마다 기와다 메기 똑바이와 베 망보요레베 랑 타축부터 같아서 접도 메나 얘네랑 지나니들이 소소도 시합을 되는들이 상이와 체네들이 다다 인이와 하고 체터가 딘 사족 샘들 이빙으로 돼 양토토고요래 다디기 중참아 하고는들이 코와 등에 장토데 다디는 소아리 다디는 유무와서 유무와리 레사 레테들이 미성성 라서가 유무와 레근데어도 로아도 하고니 오 대라대대 나지 가야게 매봤던 거다 이비를 한 매봤던 사지를 때네 그 사지에 그때나 때는 그 하고 얼마지 사지에 매나 다디데 다다다 가시를 누가 가서 제들이 다 마치 가고 그래서지 오토는 반에 대체가 요래 내는 사축도 또 맡은 포발에 탓하고요 말이 내가 돌게 되어서 마도 탓하고요 말이 사지 좀 되게 르드베 많이 생들고 그런 그 생내 용선들 좀 사지가 추탐지 다 생장 와서 답을 주시 봤대 생장 와서 좀 타톡 쏘고 나지 오늘 나지지 열이 왜 됐잖아 열이 다 열 라고 열이 다 찍게 다 출당대 요다지 요 요를 가도 다 철저하들이 공그 바다에 채마를 받아서 왔대라 다음에 다주 나가도 다주 난제도 제 초크요리 당내 요 말이지 우리 동담거리 요 말이 르테는 르 말이 샘다도 가도 되는데 요 말이 때문에 하고를 오다 매빨 다도 정말 근데 뭐는 생기 몽바시 멘트때 근데 매빨 요 빨도 바테는 쳐봐서 요를 요반지나 쳐봐 말이 매빨 요 빨도 바테 쳐봐야 하고를 드링이 사직깔이 시제는 대외에 당보대 가까이 볼 다지 니후 다지 니후는 인피를 얻어 쏘지는 인피 되거든 다지는 용도 하고는 다지는 차공으로 해서 제 인피로 니만으로 다 인도 연대들이 그 자료도 봐주더니 남출을 잡도 저 주인공 가르에 삼중제리 단 돈을 라공하 데이터 영화 개와 가르에 생대 인피를 얻어 맞잖아 그리고 남놓고요 말해서 가래 다또 돈이 현지에서 말아가지고 고반에도 석지도 지금 돈이 현지에서 말아가 탑 습도 삼현지에서 말아가지 거래 삼현지에서 말아가 카드 당고 사바체비 발 하마오나 석지 탐지 고버드는 거 낭만하기 하마고 사바체미만 맞지 이게 체미가 싸워리 지가 말해 진짜랑 진바 메도지 말은 이제 보통 좀 이제 요말이 최차례 삼바체미만 속 차지는 탐지로 다른 건 낭만하지 초와랑 이렇게 것들이 이제 체매 봐서 델들이 삼바현 계단 델들이 됐더라 탑 델들이 들이다 어쨌든 좀 하고나 대생들라 돈이 이제 탑 호나 이미 이 돈이 이제 탑의 강에 물을 못 치고 덮고요. 사족과 샘을 못 치, 강리 토발이 사이를 뒤에 내와 치고는 사그 사족샘 덮고요. 말이 그래놓고서 내시를 영로고요. 물을 못 치, 로아를 좀 물을 못 치. 그 미가바나 노래 받대. 내가 재미도 좀 가바나데 매일 위라 사족선을 보지 덕덕을 빼세리에서 숨을 때 뒤도나 아직은 노래데 토바나를 내가 토바나 안 넘어간 좀 하장 동지 뭐 대체 다 때려서 왔다면 그도 좀 소화가는데 뭐 다 이빙을 놓지 그래 소소 이빙을 놓지 못해 소화다고요 해 대제백자 다때 동시 봤어 많이 봤더니 무슨 얌전해 다른 주라 렐 그래 꼭꼭 이런 띵띵 근데 다때는 말하는 다 마대 다상하고 마대 들어가다가 되게 얌전한 거래.
Then it says, while with the left she brandishes the wish-fulfilling jewel that bestows upon supplication everything needed and desired. That is an example of the relative bodhicitta, the relative truth. So this term relative also implies that there is a perception that does not correspond to the truth, so it is like an unreal or fake perception. So that is the perception of self and other, the relative perception. And now on that level where we perceive a duality of self and other, now that is when all kinds of afflictive emotions arise in the mind, and virtuous and non-virtuous thoughts and so on. And in the beginning, first we must discern with discriminating wisdom between a virtuous, a positive or a negative thought. And so when there is division between self and other, we need to first train the mind in bodhicitta, an altruistic mind. And for that we first must understand the faults of self-grasping. All of the suffering, the ocean of suffering in samsara comes only from self-grasping. When there is self-grasping, the afflictive emotions arise, and when the mind is afflicted, we engage in negative action. As a result of that, we fall into the lower realms. So we need to understand the result of each of the 6 afflictive emotions. And so then, the root being self-grasping, how can we eliminate self-grasping? The Buddha said it is only through the altruistic mind. If you do not cultivate that, you will never become free from self-grasping. No matter what hardships you put yourself through, you will never attain enlightenment. So even if you put yourself through a lot of hardships and engage in practice, a lot of physical hardship, and you engage in all kinds of practices, if you do not understand bodhicitta, if you do not cultivate bodhicitta, you will never become liberated from samsara. Maybe as a result, temporarily, you will enjoy the higher realms, but you will never attain liberation. So the Buddha had said you have to tame your own mind, not the body, but we have to purify our mind. And that is really the purpose of all Dharma practices, the Buddha's teachings. It is to purify our mind. And that which ultimately defiles the mind is self-grasping. So then you wonder, is there a self? Is there self-grasping? There is, it is there now, that is why we talk about it. But then now, when I ask you, do you grasp at the self? Do you think there's a self? You think there is. But then where is it? And so that is the question that many of the great scholars have looked into. For example, through valid cognition and logical reasoning. And they find that no matter where you look, you cannot find the self. If there would be anything that you could find, then you could also grasp at it. But the reason why we cannot grasp at it is because we cannot find it. So ultimately, it doesn't exist. So we investigate, we examine, where is the self? Is it in the body? It's clearly not in the body. So then we look at the mind, and we also cannot find it in the mind. And then finally you realize, actually I'm only believing in a self. Actually there is no self that exists. And that is what we call the confusion, or the darkness of ignorance in the minds of sentient beings. They are confused because they believe in the existence of something that doesn't actually exist. If it would actually exist, then grasping at it would be not confusion. But we grasp at something to exist that doesn't actually exist, and that's the confusion. So this is how, through such examinations and analysis, we can cultivate trust in the Buddha's teachings. So first, now on the relative level, when we have not recognized that, we need to practice mindfulness, recognizing, discerning between virtue and non-virtue. And now from the perspective of duality, where we see other, self and other, it is most important to cultivate an altruistic mind. And that is what will destroy self-grasping. Self-grasping is like ice, and altruism is like the sun. When we take the refuge vow, we take refuge in the Dharma as the path. But what is the essence of the Dharma? It is love and compassion. So therefore, no matter what practice you do, you practice the deity, you recite the mantra, whatever practice you do with body and speech, you need to practice it on the basis of a wish to benefit others. And if you have that, if you never separate from altruism, your path of practice will never be mistaken. And that is the ultimate intent, that is the ultimate fruition to accomplish. It is that this union of emptiness and compassion. Also, when we practice Mahamudra or Dzogchen, this also is a method to realize this unity of emptiness and compassion. So that is to merge compassion into our empty mind. And we do so by first cultivating immeasurable love. If love does not arise, then you will not be able to see everyone as like your family. And if real love does not arise, true compassion can also not arise. It will only be ordinary compassion. That is limited to certain objects. For example, like when you see a certain object. But then this unobjectified, boundless compassion is this feeling of like anything, a loving feeling towards any child or any flower and so forth. And even if there's no object, it still remains. So first we develop this immeasurable love. And when that arises, whoever you meet, you will naturally have a feeling of them being like your family. So it becomes boundless. Everyone is included in that. And so the practices that we engage in are a method to cultivate that, to cultivate love and compassion. That is why we practice the deity and we recite the deity's mantra, so that we cultivate love and compassion within our empty mind. So finally, that we realize emptiness and compassion. And this is something that we can accomplish in the body, a precious human body. In a precious human body, we can understand and develop the qualities of bodhicitta. And that is unlike a god, for example, in the god realms. Although the happiness is much greater, the gods are also distracted by that happiness, and therefore they are unable to engage in practice. So as a precious human being, also Jime Dorje, the root guru, had said, we have this, as a precious human being, we have this special capability of having suffering, but also happiness that enables us to develop the quality of bodhicitta, to understand the quality of bodhicitta. And so it is therefore a very meaningful time. And we, for example, supplicate to cultivate bodhicitta. And so that is like this wish-fulfilling jewel here that bestows all the wishes. So the wish-fulfilling jewel that bestows all wishes is actually the altruistic mind. It is when we supplicate it, then anything desirable will arise from it. So bodhicitta is like this wish-fulfilling jewel. And so here, when you read that, when you practice this, it is not enough to just understand the meaning of that, but it's also necessary to actually practice it, to really assimilate that to your own mind stream, to embody what is being said here. So that is when you practice the deity, you visualize yourself as the deity, you remember all the qualities of the deity. And the same is true for the mantra and so on. And so this is how we should engage in practice.
이제 아까 멜롱 특별한 소나들이 멜롱들들이 이제 멜롱 따위 시에 시다 나버 타바 멜롱 따위 시소 된선고 이는 이시 찍을때네 이신가에 들이 뭐도 특별 멜롱 찍을때네 강의들이 이제 강의도 당연 무슨 차롱 멜롱 따위 가르 샤트와 멜롱 따위 시 지금의 샤와들이 멜롱라니 그러니 별라 멜롱라니라고 생부 따왔지 가다나 대화다 동게 되는 뭐 가리 샤로 탐지냐 바지게 되라 가득 요 말이 되라 그래도 차량에서 직접 요 말이 되라 멜롱라게 베타들이 냐바지게 시시 되는 마치저들이 자와 주변에 시대 소설도 보이시들이 오 남바타도 샤롱가 되라 생분 저바 남바타도 쇼리 들레 남바타도 샤라 게와탄 베게와니가 내도 니와들이 제 ram지는 더 용어리 빼는 세상은 냐와 ram지는 더 용어리 사족석번하지 들이 답고 생각 ram지가 저거 저 와더니 ram지 그들이 기시 때문에 때문에 저거 저래 저 대바시한테 저기 맞다 좀 그래 세상은 사바트 베이시 대타다 다추 대왕도라 대왕도 삼바데 니지 동네면 누르 대저 다 뉴모 바라지가 셰랑도 차도라서 같대 문제시와 소소도 싫었거든요. 저는 나도 계속 샬러더니 대무보다 심하게 뉴모도 말해 있던 셰랑도 차도라지 라과 셰랑을 차와들이 도과 라과도 차와 리와 대들이 또 집죠. 지금 ram라 샤오 대상에 소소도 싫어하고 싫어. 눈야만이 용어를 들으더래. 이식마다 메롱 찍을 때는 뭐도 되고요. 제가 동당 초급으로 요다. 대리 추지지 시절은 메롱 거랑 뭐 동바 나왔다 직경 내가 추지지 시에서 샤와데 다 나서 샤트반 메롱 따위시 샤와들라 니지메바 나마이지 들이 사트베 시든 코디 나완 담라 샤우지 강샤우들 들이 따따다 사트베 시든 들은 저 파쇼는 나도 레사 테크 그말 샤우 데사오지 들이 사트베 오 사랑지부터 그도 데사트베 시 데따다 냐틀버 또 강조 처리되는 소소도 시합 자체거리 들이 시합 뉴비는 소는 소소랑 이시기를 봐 소소랑 랑을 시방 싸워는 것을 내가 탐진 저 알았어 어떤가 들때 참아 이시는 절로 이모 이시는 절때 배는 생명의 절로 되다가 소소랑 이시기를 봐서 되게 좀 소소도 시합들이 하다 같이 하래 냠민가
And so just to take the example of the mirror, for example, it is also can be applied to the 5 kinds of wisdom. For example, there is the mirror-like wisdom, and the mirror-like wisdom is the complete purification of hatred or anger. So within one state of primordial awareness, this one mind has 5 qualities, the 5 wisdoms. So through the mirror-like wisdom, the mirror, for example, we can recognize the nature of the 5 wisdoms. For example, now the mirror-like wisdom is, in terms of the mirror now, is that within the mirror, anything can be reflected. The entire universe and all beings are reflected in the mirror. So the mirror reflects everything. So that is why the mirror-like wisdom. But then, from the perspective of the mirror being the mind now, whatever is reflected, whatever appears in the mirror, now, for example, if you're a practitioner who knows how to rest in the view, then anything, you see that anything can be reflected. There's no preference in the mirrors from the perspective of the mirror. Anything is reflected, happiness and suffering and so on. And that is the equanimity wisdom. From the perspective of the mirror, there is no acceptance and no rejection. There is no hope and fear. There is no attachment, no aversion at all. And that is the wisdom of equanimity. And then there is the naturally all-accomplishing wisdom. And that is now when things appear and you grasp at them, then you accumulate karma, a positive and negative karma. As a result of that, there will be an experience of happiness and suffering naturally. So things are created naturally. That is the activity accomplishing wisdom that naturally accomplishes. For example, when there is anger, that naturally accomplishes or creates the hell realm. When there is bodhicitta, that naturally creates the Pure Lands. So it is the natural creation, that one thing has a natural result. That is this activity accomplishing wisdom. And what is created naturally, also by nature, is illusory. And so then, that is the activity accomplishing wisdom. And then if you wish to be happy, you must create the cause of happiness. Cause of happiness is love and compassion. If you do not want to suffer, you have to get rid of the causes of suffering. And that is the ordinary, uncontrolled, afflictive emotions, especially anger and jealousy. You have to recognize them with discriminating awareness. Each and every thought that arises momentarily and that we normally grasp at as truly existing. We believe in the reality of our thoughts and our emotions. So it is important to recognize that, to recognize, oh, this is anger, this is jealousy, and so on. So the coarse form of aggression is aversion, and its more subtle form is fear. And then the coarse form of attachment is desire, and its more subtle version is hope. There's 80 different kinds of concepts. There's some various concepts that might arise in the mind, and it is important to recognize that clearly with discriminating awareness. So as a result of realizing that those 5 wisdoms arise from one awareness, one attains the supreme siddhi, ultimately. And that is then the ultimate wisdom. The 5th one is the wisdom of the Dharma Dhatu. And that is now that the empty space-like essence of the mirror. There's nothing there that really truly exists. So that's the Dharma Dhatu wisdom. And then again, the various reflections appearing in that mirror is the mirror-like wisdom. And then there is no dualistic grasping towards those reflections, and that is the equanimity wisdom. And then naturally, the appearances of samsara and nirvana manifest due to the karmas that are created due to grasping at the thoughts within the mind. And so this momentary appearance, this natural creation, that is the activity accomplishing wisdom. with clarity, you should recognize actually things naturally are created as a result of my own negative emotions. So you think in this way. And so now from our perspective, from the perspective of practice, now which of these wisdoms is most important to us? The most important wisdom to us is the individually discriminating wisdom for us. It is also explained in the Heart Sutra. It explains this discriminating awareness that recognizes its own confusion, and in that way brings an end to confusion. And if you're able to do so with awareness, then the afflictive emotions will become wisdom, or the wood will turn into fire. So from us, from a practical perspective, as practitioners, the individually discriminating wisdom is most important.
Tata 사용의 토바 나오거나 나바들라 토바에 물을 못치도 자체 보인 바다다 이제 말에 배송발에 오골로와 매일 그게 강제 느바체 대 감독 상의 용띠에서 감독되지 다다 들어와야 감독 그래도 얘는 셔 열마 몽발이 되는 말 감독되지 되니다 감가 칼라트니 상속점 루그는 것도 사적들이 감틀레 리스타마 이 사송 말가와 당들이 직진이 매일마도 들이 로르도 강해요 말이지 들이 감독되지 물론 뭐지에서 들이 데려지는 강해 들이 데려지는 강이잖아요. 강나들이 사하는 놈이 탈랑놈이 듣고 요래 달롱라서가 이나들이 다 이제 고독 사촉처럼 쏘았던 그 용화지 고독 사촉처럼 거들이 발신 독주바지나 내가 특성나들은 물이 요가르들 도장 동지고 체력과 들이 점바르테는 쭉 대통 돌기용 됐어. 그래서 삼진이 싫어할 때는 타촉사제 고방 삼진이 싶어하더니 성보다 현지에서 사족선. 근데 내가 타촉이 되니 문의 쪽들이 사족선 보고 쪽 보고요. 그래서 소화하던 구두 탐지 정말 여성. 그래서 와다 발을 막 나와리
So then also there is a skull with a jewel on top, and so that a skull here represents the precious human body also. It is very precious because Milarepa, for example, had said that in having obtained a precious human body of amongst all the different 6 classes of existence, whatever virtue or non-virtue you practice becomes more powerful. And that is due to the quality of the precious human body that possesses 6 elements or constituents. And actually, animals also possess 6 elements, but they do not possess wisdom. They are ignorant. And so humans possess these 6 constituents, so the 5 elements, and on top of that also bodhicitta. And within the body as an element, the bodhicitta is the bodhicitta drop. And this constituent, these 6 qualities, are qualities that are only found in either the eastern land of manifest joy, and also secondly in Jambudvipa, in this human world. And nowhere else in the 6 realms of samsara can one find such a body that possesses those 6 constituents. So therefore we call it the precious human body endowed with the 6 constituents. And now from the perspective of Vajrayana practice, this element is like actualize this bodhicitta element through the path of skillful means, through the winds entering the central channel and so on. But also on the relative level, we supplicate to bodhicitta. When we cultivate bodhicitta, then all activities become a practice of the 6 paramitas. And then temporarily, for example, if you practice morality, you will find a precious human body. If you practice patience, you will have harmonious companions and a beautiful appearance and a long life. And if you practice generosity, you will find wealth. So all of the qualities, the 3 qualities of the higher realms, are developed or are found through generosity, morality, and patience. And then the paramitas of meditation and wisdom lead to the ultimate state of enlightenment. Meditation really is to perfect love and compassion, bodhicitta, and that will protect one temporarily and ultimately. So the real protection is actually bodhicitta. This is also what we keep in mind now when we then recite the mantra. That is, we bring to mind this precious human body, which is also like a wish-fulfilling jewel, and supplicating it, that is putting it to use, brings about anything that is desired.
Om Gamma Atata Shora Dharma Tara Mamasara Soha. Om Gamma Atata Shora Dharma Tara Mamasara Soha. Ninjin Pachain Jeridade, Marambra Mambori, Shabade Tiban, Leb Jogan Ha Song, then Mountain Goya, Dharma Tara, the Achi Chokyi Drolma Pena, the young heart, the tongue de la Tata Dhamma Samaratani. Judy Jason, Chokakakachi, or then Garchen Rinpoche Duni, Namyong Lok, there is a young marathon, Yina Jason, Niba says only Mukba, Chipper Zong, or there is any Talomata, Pachika, Catelo, Trancachipo, Maltragado. Muni doesn't occur, Trancaso, Muni Trancate, the Lala Nija, Lala Lota, Dava, and German, such a Mubata Gontamata. There is Ali by Silver Dogore. Nipa coming home to the Sao, the knee, Gontapa, the Hajan Chung, Sao Gontapa, Charity, Nipa Asom. They go Mataba Nivalo. The Joko got to young, you know, Lord Chogore. Never, Genetini. The Tamad Korajan, Dr. Barton, Holden, quality, basin short. The Nabuchopana and Dr. Baratli, never Nibaso. You can be dying word and have a city with Dana, dark on to worry. The little Dubas on the Trinity was there. From the Chetaba, the truth to Chetaba, wonder how do you call the Drata Cheba? The little Duchin dinner, the little Matake, 17 Tantric, Danzi, Mepatang, something the Yuriana, 17 Tantric, là trong bằng hạ rồi chắc lắm nhưng mà thậm chí là như vậy lại cho xong tí từng đồ của tí mức ba của thập thế ra liền và ngã trong cả tay rồi mà đi thì chân đó ngã đó ngã là dùng tí chim bồi rồi thì ngã thì ra đông thì đi cho ngã cái ra là thì này làm tốt cả rồi tham gia cái giá trị là xem phán rồi xem xuất phát rồi ngã cái ra nó vào cái ra thế là sao xem phá ta rồi ra là thì này dùng tí rồi thì rằng cái đen là thì chết được của chú thế là thì cũng trong chỗ đi chỗ là chết được của chú thế là thì bé thì không khá là nhiều rồi lúc chỗ đi là thì ra thì rằng cái cổ đi rằng cái đen là rằng cái chỗ cổ đó thì mang vào là thì bây giờ mình là lọt thôi ba thì rằng cái cho những mà thông qua channel thì rằng cái lọt thôi ba chắc cái rồi thì ngã đó thì là ngã đến thông mang bộ là ngã đến thông cái gì mang bộ Dharma đó thì ngã thằng chỉ được ôm hoàng thế thì tôi chụp cái lỗ rồi sắc cái con là con ôm hồng chỗ làm thằng gì là ôm hồng đó thì phải thì là thì sao được mà sao vậy chỗ làm thằng chỉ là xem để sao thằng ngã thì mà ra rồi rồi thì sao để cả chụp xuống là càng nhiều chụp xuống là nó sao thì xem sát tập thì sao thì xem thì số tập chế luôn rồi tôi đã chế thế tao vậy thì những bạn thì chế răng cái xong rồi những bạn đó bạn được chế những lúc như này vậy xong thì duy trì cái đó chế bảo điều mà thế xin là cái xong rồi đấy
Bush Achi Nyambati Kararis.
Achi Nyambata Nyirigete Chamde Changla Kumai Kori Baja Te Kori Ding Harum Borga Ding Hata Chang the one that Lord Choker Nani Mimaponia make it the Lord Choker the Gomji the Davit and the Gomia or Ding Hatin Yong Kongora Ben Papa and Better Kirkle Home Pig Mother Gomia Petiter Hakuson.
And then it says, in her heart upon the disk of moon is the white syllable Shri surrounded by the syllables of the mantra. So at the heart there is a moon disk, and on top of that is the syllable Shri. The moon disk, the moon represents the relative bodhicitta. And so for the visualization, when you then recite the mantra, you visualize the deity, yourself as the deity, your form being luminous and naturally empty, like an inflated, like sheep's intestines are basically empty like a balloon. And so then in the center of this empty body, there is a moon disk, and on top of that a white syllable Shri. And it is very small and brilliant, like a lamp. So that has to be visualized very clearly. And then once that is clear, then you visualize the syllables of the mantra surrounding the Shri syllable. And so there is this other mantra that Rinpoche just taken from the text that we can give to you later. Maybe we can make a copy of that later. So because there's a difference in the mantra that we visualize surrounding the seed syllable, and then the mantra that we are actually reciting. So one is shorter and the other one is longer. The one we are reciting is longer. Also, for example, like in the Vajra Kilaya, it's similar. There is the short mantra around the Hung, Benza Kili Kilaya Hung Pet, and then there is the longer mantra that we are reciting. And so you can receive that other mantra later. There's all kinds of different mantras actually for a deity. For example, there is the activity mantras through which various activities are accomplished. And then there is the actual like approach mantra that we are reciting. So in any case, so you can receive that later. We can write that down. Now, according to, in general now, for the mantra recitation, according to the new Tantric system, there are 4 classes of Tantra. And in the 4 classes of Tantra, it seems that the rituals are separate, depending on which class of Tantra they belong to. And Guru Rinpoche had actually condensed them, that is from a practical perspective. From the perspective of experience, he had included 4 levels of practice within a single sadhana. And that is, according to the old Tantric system, there is a 4-fold division of approach and accomplishment. And the difference here lies in the visualization, the development of one's own visualization. And so what this is to say is that normally when we practice a deity, we are told that we should recite a certain number of mantras to accomplish that deity. Often people ask, how many mantras do I have to recite? So a mantra is a certain mantra count, a number of mantras to be accumulated is prescribed, but actually whether or not it is accomplished or on when it is accomplished depends on the strength of your own visualization and not the numbers of mantras that you recite. So depending on your own visualization, there is some who might even accomplish it in a single day, or some others in months or years and so on. It depends on how focused, how strong your visualization is. And it doesn't depend on the numbers of mantras that you are reciting. So now in terms of the visualization now, how we can see the development of our own visualization in those 4 branches of approach and accomplishment. It begins with the approach. And so here, first we are visualizing the moon disk and the syllable surrounded by the mantra syllables. So first you visual, and that is very small syllables. So first you visualize just that until that becomes stable. And until that becomes stable, you have to recite the approach mantra. So that is not the number of mantras, but until that becomes stable. And then when you're really able to visualize the mantra garland around the syllable clearly, then you come to the second step, the close approach. And here the mantra garland begins to rotate, to revolve around the syllable. First slowly, just like a prayer wheel, for example. And then it accelerates and it begins to turn very fast, just like the engine of a jet plane. And as it spins very fast, it also gives off a sound, the sound of the mantra, then emerges from the spinning mantra garland. And when that becomes stable, that is the close approach. And then you come to the third, the accomplishment, and that is when, so the mantra garland is spinning very fast. It gives off a sound. And now from this, then you visualize the radiating of light and then the gathering back of the light rays. And that's the accomplishment. And then number 4 is the great accomplishment. And so that is then through the recitation of the mantra and the visualization, you think that the self-grasping of all sentient beings has become eliminated, and love and compassion has entered their mind stream. And then all beings appear as the deity, and all sounds are the sound of the mantra. And so wherever you are at depends on your own focus or your own level of visualization and not the number. So that's important to understand. And then aside from that, the mantra recitation itself has a lot of good qualities. And that is, first, when you hear the sound of the mantra brings to an end naturally the ordinary thoughts within your mind. And when you hear ordinary conversation, that again confuses the mind and it defiles the mind. It makes the mind more polluted, on the other hand, or impure. On the other hand, the sound of the mantra purifies the mind of its ordinary thoughts. And also, actually, the mantra recitation also has some health benefits, because as you're reciting the mantra, You're also stimulating your saliva and so on, which helps you digest the food and so forth. And also by reciting out loud or hearing the mantra all the time, later on when you grow old and maybe you're not able to recite scriptures anymore or you can't see and so on, by that time you have already memorized everything, and it always remains within your mind just naturally without having to read anything. And so for the mantra recitation, there is different kinds with melody, longer and shorter and so on. But no matter what deity you practice, ultimately the essence of all the mantras comes down to the Om Ahung. So it is therefore extremely beneficial to practice the Om Ahung Vajra recitation in all your day-to-day activities. In whatever you do, with your body, you never separate from the deity, and with your speech, you never separate from the mantra. That's important. And if you habituate to that, then especially when you encounter difficulties, then instantly you will remember the deity. The deity will appear in your mind, and in that way the deity protects your mind. And so now in terms of the number to be recited, you have to really see for yourself however many numbers it takes to visualize and to perfect the 4 branches of approach, close approach, accomplishment, great accomplishment. And those 4 branches really are not any different than the 4 classes of Tantra in essence. So that's also an important point to understand.
So Jumichi Basum song, the Mark Pion, the young Chokwa, the Tata Ya, the Tical Party of Control, from Masani one day, Ya, Droling Che, then King Bochi or Trisa, Lama Partisan, Kong up Happy or Kamikong, Big Gubaya Puja Yore, Lama Sale, one Nanga Yore. The Kong Pia Wore, was also Namia Warrior.
And so in brief, when you abide within the clear and empty mind, that mind naturally pervades all of samsara and nirvana. And for this reason, it naturally offerings are being made to the higher beings, and the obscurations of sentient beings are naturally being purified. And that is actually explained as the benefit of the mantra garland. There is 3 continuous things that are achieved. First, there is a continuous offering made to the Buddhas. Secondly, the obscurations of sentient beings are purified continuously. And thirdly, you continuously attain the twofold cities or the accomplishments. So we stopped the instructions for this morning here, and in the meantime also the newer disciples can ask the senior disciples. You can discuss everything with each other. Also you have Garchen Rinpoche here and our visiting Lama, who actually did a lot of great activities in Tibet, sustaining the monastery and a lot of service to the Guru and for the Dharma. So he is really an excellent spiritual master too, and we are very fortunate to have him here. So thank you very much.
Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I just have a few announcements to make before we break for lunch. First of all, just to let you know that lunch break will be from 12 to 2:30. So we give that extra half an hour so that Rinpoche will have some time to rest. And then, so our afternoon session will begin at 2:30, and it will go from 2:30 to 5:30. In our temple area, just so everybody's aware, we have 2 people who are here to provide your comfort.